Welcome to my channel. This novel tells a story about power, love, and destiny. After being forced to marry Alpha Damon, the hero Noah discovers that he's not as heartless as rumored. This discovery will completely overturn her life, just as she starts to adapt to her new life. A huge conspiracy threatening the entire clan emerges. The relationship between her and Damon becomes the key to solving this problem. This story will definitely keep you hooked. 6. The Proposal. I emerge from the depths of unconsciousness, assaulted by a cacophony of whispers and murmurs that instantly triggered a throbbing headache. My eyelids remained stubbornly shut as I felt a gentle hand smoothing back my hair, while another clasped mine tightly. The voices around me blended into an overwhelming symphony, each word amplifying the pain in my skull. A soft groan escaped my parched lips, prompting the hand holding mine to tighten its grip reassuringly. Guys, Esha. My melodious voice cut through the noise, instantly silencing the others. The soothing strokes through my hair paused momentarily as another hand rested on my forehead. Nora, open your eyes, please. Angel's tender voice pleaded, her desperation tugging at my heartstring. It never heard her sound so vulnerable, and it filled me with an overwhelming sadness, summoning my strength. I allowed my eyes to flutter open, wincing as the light intensified my headache. Angel's worried gaze came into focus, her usually perfectly styled hair now pulled back in a messy bun. Beside her, Mia clutched my left hand, offering an encouraging smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I took in my surroundings, recognizing the familiar pastel-mint walls of my room. The curtains were drawn tight across the large windows, and the soft glow of lamps cast dancing shadows. Glancing down, I noticed I was still wearing the same peachy outfit from before, now lying in my bed with the sheets pulled up to my chest. My gaze fell on my unnaturally pale left hand, resting atop the covers with an ivy tip snaking out of my forearm. When I attempted to sit up, a sharp pain shot through my arm, eliciting a wince. Nora, lay back. Xavier gently pressed my shoulder, easing me back onto the pillows. He pulled the sheets up to my waist with a concerned frown. You need to rest. As Xavier settled into a chair beside me, Zane approached Mia, positioning himself protectively at her side. One hand was thrust deep into his pocket, while the other rested on Maya's shoulder, offering a comforting squeeze. His expression mirrored Maya's, a mixture of exhaustion and worry, but with an additional undercurrent of anger simmering beneath the surface. Rye unmoved to stand behind Angel, wrapping an arm around her waist as she leaned into him, a small, tired smile playing on her lips. The room fell into a tense silence, broken only when Christina bustled in, balancing a tray laden with food. An apple teetered precariously on the edge of a bowl, rolling with each step she took. Finally, you're awake, she exclaimed, her voice a mixture of relief and excitement. Well, I'm not totally awake yet, Christina, I say through gritted teeth, holding back tears from my headache, shutting my eyes. Don't worry, Nora. I've mind linked the doctor to come and catch up on you, Zane said softly in his usual melodious voice. Really, Zane? I don't need one. I lie, still with my eyes still shut. Who was fooling me? A gentle knock on the door grabs my brothers and their mate's attention. Come in, Xavier said using his alpha tone, gently brushing some of my dark hair away from my face. He was looking tired, a bit more than the others as I locked his washed eyes with mine. A male, in about his late 20s, wearing dark jeans and a pale gray shirt that was loose and rolled up to his elbow, exposing his muscles, came in carrying a black briefcases. Good evening, Alphys and Lunas. He bowed his head, before scurrying his way toward me. Xavier stood up and gave his spot to him to sit down on. Evening, Nora. Drive. O'Brien. He sat down besides placing briefcase down in the floor. His voice was deep as Xavier's and light as Ryan. His jawline was sharp with high cheekbones, making any girl want him. Even June, who wouldn't shut up about how much she worshipped her mate. I nodded back, losing my words when June's stubborn voice growls inside my mind. Stop looking at him like that. We have our mate bitch. Yeah, a good-for-nothing mate who isn't even here for us. I reply rather sharply, making her quiet. How's your head? He asked gently, touching my forehead to check my temperature. I, who Xavier S. Ryan's. And Zayness Wolf growl in union the second his hand glazes my head, but I make June snarl them shut. They fall dreadfully cold, but I could see Christina place a hand on Xavier. Angel tug Ryan's hand and Mia look at Zane with the you, serious face. I was happy they had their mates. Someone who can comfort you in your darkness and most low at times, but I was even more sad that I had mine and also that he was here. How does it feel when I place my hand on your head? His hand laid flat on my head, increasing the pressure. My head felt as if it were to explode. Blood pounding the veins by my ears and my nerves stung. It hurts. I reply in a small voice like a child because I was biting my lower lip with so much force. It instantly began to throb. The second those words slip out of my mouth, he removed his hand. Guess your wolf's taking longer to heal than I anticipated. And guessing some morphine should help in lowering the pain. He sighed before taking out his phone and makes a call. Standing up. He looks at Xavier and announcing hell departure to have someone bring a bag of morphine soon. Before stepping of the door, leaving me alone again with my brothers. Where's my mate? I ask in a timidly as Xavier reclaims his seat again by my side. His expression hard and after the mentioning my mate. But instead he starts to stroke my hair back as a single tear slips down my cheek. He looks into my eyes with a type of sadding with his eyes. He wipes the tear away before saying, Away from here, Nora. Away from me, why? I burst, nearly in tears. Nora, devil witch, Nora. Hell be back. Ryan moans from behind Angel. I turn my head toward him as he hides his eyes from me. When? I ask, as Xavier wipes another fly-away air. So I turn back towards him. Soon, was all he replied, before looking away from me just as Ryan had. What happened? Why are all you guys quiet? I ask rather obnoxiously loud like a bubble within me ready to pop. Nora, you need to, Angel started, but I cut her off now. Not until you guys tell me what's happening. What going on with you all? I yell, moving my head away from Xavier's hands. His eyes widen from my outburst, but before a word could appear out of his mouth, the shut door flies opens. Sorry if I'm interrupting, but I had the meds for Nora. I could wait outside if you want me to Alphys, drive. O'Brien asked ever so politely with a bow that Xavier dismissed now. Please proceed. He was going to rise when drive. O'Brien stopped him, saying it was unnecessary for him to take a seat. Ryan steps out with an excuse of making a phone call, leaving Angel with me. Her concern-filled eyes, gleaming with worry. Christina took a step back as drive. O'Brien walked in front of her, with a large smile, making Christina blush, which Xavier Docent seemed to notice. His eyes were concentrated on mine with a type of fire burning within them. I glanced behind Xavier, to see the doctor place the bag of morphine on the stand and start uncoiling its long tube. He takes the tube over Xavier's head and down beside the drip and sits down next to Xavier. He then opens his brief bag to take out a plastic bag with a needle and tube inserter. He places them onto the bed after shutting his case down, and then he tears them open and firmly pins my forearm down. This might hurt for a moment. It'll be like a pinch, okay? He said in a kind tone like HES talking to a child who's about to get their shots. I nod, unable to form any words, and turn my head towards Angel, who gives me an encouraging smile like Mia. I don't have enough power to smile back, but I look at her as I feel the sharp needle being placed under my skin into a rushing vein. I close my eyes in pain as the needle remains here and the tube being placed into the needle. I feel the medical tape sticking down on my skin, making the skin rough and irritated. I hear the doctor mutter some words. To me or to the others. I don't know. The world spins as I feel the morphine coursing its way throughout my veins, easing the agony in my throbbing head. I open my eyes as the doctor gets his briefcase out again and takes out another needle with a small jar containing some clear-ish liquid. This is for your wolf and her healing. He replies to my question, filling its syringe. Oh hell nah. Stop him, bitch, she cried, making a devious smile curve up on my lips. Who's the scaredy pup now? And anyway, you're taking this and no one's helping. I snapped back, feeling like a boss despite knowing how pathetic it actually sounded. Some things sound better in your head and shouldn't be said out loud. She whines while I wince once the needle was being placed once again under my skin for a second time. He then pulls the needle out 30 seconds later, with a single drop of blood slipping out and my wolf whimpering from pain. He dabs the area with the cotton before placing on a small round bandage. The IV should remain here for another few hours, just so you don't get dehydrated again, and the morphine will run out in about 2 hours. So I say you should get some rest until then. Like one pure bed rest. For about the next 2 days I suggest. Your neck should heal in about a day, so don't worry too much about that. He finishes, picking up the wrappers and his briefcase. Get well soon, Nora, and don't worry. He'll be back every 2 hours to check up on you. Call me if here's an emergency. He adds, finally directing the instructions to Xavier, bowing down to him and Zane on his way out. Thank you. I reply shortly with a faint smile as he leaves. He pauses, smiling back before shutting the door behind him. Nora, deception. Xavier starts with a sigh. Firstly, don't freak out, okay? We're here for you always. After he hesitated for a second like he was internally fighting with his wolf. Before starting again. After he kissed you and you fainted in his arms. We had a discussion. And where Ryan got that nasty scratch on his forearm and you got that neck injury from. I asked with an eyebrow raised, remembering the giant scar on his forearm that I didn't see before, and after carefully Xavier's neck. He takes a moment to reply yes. In that discussion, we came up to a consensus in which we can make things beneficial for us all. And that was, I urged him eagerly. The consensus was that we have you married off to him. He said strongly without hesitation, looking back up at me. I scream, trying to sit up when the pain returns in full blast, making me gasp out loud, so I tried biting the pain back from my lips, but it was too late. Angel quickly pulls me back down, while Xavier rumbled with his words. Listen, Nora, your marriage with him will not only security in both packs, but as well as help boost trade between us both. Something we've never considered in the past. Think about it. In this way, your status will remain intact as well as business. He was cut short by Ryan's sudden arrival. Ryan's eyes were dark, but they softened with sympathy as they fell on me. He was dressed the same and a phone was pressed against his ears. HES asking for your final decision. It's already been decided, Xavier said while rising up with darkened eyes. Hands in his pocket as he leaves the door with Zane trailing behind him. Before I could say a word, the door was slammed shut, along with my heart. I used my right hand to muffle my sobs. Angel and Christine are trying to comfort me from either side. Shun ora. He patted my hand, scooting over towards me. Shes. You don't even know the half of it. What do you mean? I say in, between sobs. My tears were running free across my cheeks. I used the backside of my right hand to wipe my tears away. Nora, trust us. Your brothers wouldn't do this to you if it was for your own good. Christine said softly, patting my left hand lightly. Agreed. They did this because they love so much. They did this to you because your mate. Mia explained sadly, holding my right hand again tightly. What did he say? I asked, scared lie, thinking of the consequences of not marrying him. He threatened he would. Angel hesitated to say another word, as if all the words were taken away from her. She looked up at Christina with a disgusted face, hoping she would continue on for her as her replacement. She doesn't say anything, but instead she turns her head away in sorrow, tearing falling down her face now. Mia was the one who mustered the courage to say it. Nora, he said, the consequences of not marrying him would include the marking and mating of you with him. In front of both packs, the silver rose and the red blood pack. 7, here comes the bride. Fuck you dress and your fucking makers. I swear as I try gathering my dress up. so I could stuff my entire ass in this fucking dress as out my bedroom's window. Please excuse my French, but when you're pissed, you're pissed. Simple. Naturally, the window's pretty big and a pretty easy escape, but when you have a 50-layer wedding dress to stuff through, it makes it a million times worser. I told you not to eat those boxes of pizza last night. June laughed, as I continued to struggle to gather my dress up. What a fass. Shut up. I'm not fat. I'm just fluffy. I snap, back furiously. Besides, it was only for boxes and I needed the energy since your darling mate did nothing besides leave me dehydrated. From 2 days ago, a lot has happened. Flashback. Ever since my doctor said it was okay for me to walk, my darling sister-in-laws had been planning my gorgeous marriage to the stunning alpha, while on the other hand, Ma had been planning my escape from this tragedy. Even the dressmakers were called to hours before the doctor was to check up on me and have me dismissed from bed rest. Since then, I have tried about 60 different wedding gowns from styles to all designs, and when I selected a simple thin lace suit for my easy escape, my mate thought it would be funny to select a puffy, 50-layer, deep backless, ravy and white wedding dress with lace at the ends with a giant bow at the back. It had deep round neck glittered with sparkles from the front, but enough to make my cleavage visible. I cuss at Choice and his foolish plans to make a mockery of me in this shit-ass dress. That bastard hadn't even shown his face to me since that performance in front of the other alphas. My brothers have been busy making phone calls to distance packs for the wedding and hiding away in their studies, while their mates have been planning the whole thing. Even Leah joined in on digging my grave. She was jumping with happiness when she found out my mate was an alpha, so I had to smack the shit out of her to calm her down, leaving a red mark on her cheeks as proof. I swear she could really be a pain in my ass. I had no choice but to ring a call to Emma to help me escape. No matter what, I always could count on her because she was the type of friend that would do the dumbest, yet the funniest and most memorable ever things with you. She was part of my squad since elementary. Once I wanted to ride around in a shopping cart for my 14th birthday and my brothers denied, saying it was dumb and I would get hurt. So I told my squad the next day, and that day, I had the time of my life. No, not by dropping by the hospital or by being literally restrained on a bed for 1 month, but you know what I mean. I even received a confirmation call from Emma the morning of my marriage saying to meet up after I escaped the wedding at an old shaft on the outskirts of Pack where our squad used to meet up. From here, I had a one-way ticket to my secretly bought flat in France, which I've had for a while now. After my sister-in-laws got me ready in that catastrophe of a dress, and did my hair into decent bun with sparkly pins, pinning it into place and the long simmering veil attached, I asked them for a moment alone. They clicked their heels all the way out while shutting the door quietly. I counted to 60 before kicking off my heels and ripping out the veil and pins out of my hair. My hair fell limp against my back as I then gathered my mess of a dress up and made my way over to the window. I yanked it open and looked down. One blonde guard dressed in a black suit was pacing around the pool, which was directly under my windows. He looked young. Luckily for me. Oh no. Don't do what I'm thinking you, June says with fake concern. I try to gather my dress up and try hopping off my window. Directly behind him. Flashback ends. Shut up. I'm not fat. I'm just fluffy. I snap, back furiously. Besides, it was only for boxes and I needed the energy since your darling mate did nothing besides leave me dehydrated. I finally jump out the window, landing behind him, still fully dressed and fully attached to all my limbs. He doesn't get a second before I jam the injection of wolfsbane into his neck. He sinks to the ground, crumpling at my toes helplessly. I dash across the back lawn with my hair bouncing behind as the wind whipped my face, carefully circling around the pool and bushes of roses that were dressed with thorns as my cold, sweaty hands were holding firmly onto the cloth of my dress, lifting the front for me to run in. I don't turn around to see my house for the last time, knew if I did, I wouldn't be able to leave afterwards. Tears were already stinging my eyes as I crashed into the hedge with a loud thump. My heart was racing as I tried to find the secret door hid and amongst the tall hedges. I once had overheard Ryan complaining about it one day over the phone to his beta. saying how the door was locked shut and refusing to open. I prayed that it was open and not shut, as my hand hit something and a jolt of pain went electrifying up my hand. That silver idiot. June moaned with the same amount of anguish as me. I cleared the leaves aside carefully, making sure my fingers didn't accidentally glaze past the silver for a second time. I roll my eyes, shoving my hand back and trying to punch the pin I stole from Ryan's journal about the door. At first, nothing happened, and just when I was about to loose open Abyss nightmare, that very second the door springs open along with my hopes. Dashing out, I slip into dark back alley of our house completely abandoned. I flinch as the door slams shut behind me, with me beginning to wonder where to go because it nearly being 6 in the evening, with the sun hanging dangerously low in the sky. Red and orange streaks painted the sky, with me starting to shiver since it was the end of October. I slowly walked down the alley, and after a few steps, the feeling of eyes watching me crept in. Christine's POV. It had been 10 minutes since we left Nora to be in her room, and since then Xavier asked me to bring Nora down so we could to the venue. I started to head up the stairs, humming to myself and trying to be careful not to slip and fall. I had a really valuable gift for Xavier, which I was practically dying to tell him, but with the wedding going on, I just couldn't. I was about to turn the knob to Nora's room when it hit me. A wave of nausea caught me off guard. I puked my strawberry banana smoothie into the nearest flower pot that was in the hallway. I hold a hand on the wall for support, taking gulps of the fresh air rushing to my lungs. I was about to leave and go back to my room to take some pills for the headache that was throbbing in my head, but I remembered that Nora's room was closer. I turned the bedroom knob to find it empty, with nothing but a thrown-up wedding veil with hairpins scattering the floor. I turned to the corner to find a thrown pair of heels in the corner with the curtains swung wide open, letting a cool fall breeze in. To me, the room looked as it was raided. I rushed to the window and take a wide glance down. The pale body of the guard was found, crumpled next to the pool with a syringe thrown a few feet away, glistening in the empty field. I then let my scream run free. Or as POV. I was about to turn when someone headlocks me with their hand under my neck. I feel the air being choked in my lungs, threatening to suffocate me from within. I try escaping by kicking them in between the legs, but it seemed impossible to do anything in this message. W, what DD? Do you, UW, a ant? I gasp, in between words. My strength was nearly half gone in repairing myself from that sick fall I made from my window and from the silver burn. I feel my attacker nestle their head between my shoulder and neck, loosened their grip on my neck, and took a deep breath as if he were inhaling my scent. You, of course, my darling. His voice was deep and soft. I feel him run a hand from behind over my torso, making a tight knot grow in pit of stomach. He nibbled the spot between my shoulder and neck, the direct spot where I was supposed to be marked. Tears run loose again, blurring my vision when a deep growl rings out. My vision instantly clears to see a man, no over 20, with dark glistening hair and raging black eyes, dressed in an elegant black formal suit, clutching his fist by his sides. For a second I mistakenly took him for Damon. I feel the tears pause as my savior took about a dozen steps over toward me. Step another step, and I'll mark the alpha's darling mate on the spot. My attacker's voice rings from beside my ear, making me slightly deaf for a moment. I feel him brush away my hair instantly from my right ear as he tugged my waist closer against his body. I gasp out when I feel his canines gently pressed against my neck, but luckily he doesn't bite down. Before I could feel the full force of his teeth against my frozen skin, someone rips me away from his grasp onto the cold, hard ground. I tumble over my very own dress and fall face down. I turn back up to the man in dark hair, just standing here in his spot with his hands toggled deep into his pockets of his formal black jacket. His eyes were now swarming with entertainment at the sight of a gray wolf, nearly biting down onto another ash-gray wolf. His eyes shift from the fight to me, and under a blink he makes his way over to me. His eyes were now flickering with amusement at sight of me on the ground. Do I have call your brothers or someone else to carry you back, or can you walk already? He said with a heavy sigh, his hands remaining in his pockets, not bothering to help me up. Thanks for helping me. I say while smoothing out the wrinkles in my dress that I stand up. The edges were slightly torn along with the glitter covered in dirt now. I rub my hands together as I stand up and start to walk behind the mystery man. It was as if he forgot about the fight going on behind us. "No problem," he replied shortly, not even looking at me. The growls from the fight instantly die down, reign from existent. I don't turn back, but instead I walk ahead, side to side with the man. "Who was he?" I ask, gathering my thoughts and words together. "No one. Just a rogue I wanted to have some fun with. Until my stupid guards let him slip away. Anyway, now before Alpha Daemon barges into your house and claims your brother's pack from in front of eyes, you should wander yourself back into your room and be ready for the wedding," he said, finally pulling out a single cigarette from one pocket and a navy blue lighter from the other. I abruptly stopped walking when I realized the direction we were heading. "Who are you?" I asked, scaredy, taking a step back from him as he lit the cigarette with his metal lighter. He doesn't look up as he stuffed one hand back again in his pocket, while the other was holding on to his cigarette. He blew some smoke out from his nose before saying, "Just a well-wisher who doesn't want his future Luna to be claimed by a rogue. Now, instead of making small talk with me, I highly suggest you should just go back to your cozy little home and doll yourself up before the marriage. And also before the Alpha finds out about your wonderful little adventure, because if he does, you won't be the only one losing their self-esteem in front of the packs. You have to. Oh wait, no. Three sister-in-laws along with you, but I can guarantee that the Alpha up can be forgiving if you can make yourself presentable in front of him again," he threatened neatly, crossing one of his hand over his chest and flicking the ashes off the cigarette butt, leaving me speechless as he walked up to me with his curious eyes lingering down at my torn-up dress, examining every edge. I swallow back the fear, attempting to look as normal as possible, but his sharp glances, he managed to drain me of the last color left in my face. His eyes coil upwards from my chest to my face, and I drop my eyes to ground as my hands grasp tightly onto my dress as he spoke his final words from behind me. "Or we can keep this all a secret. You know, between you and me, and pretend like this never happened if you just clean up a bit and silently marry the Alpha without any more drama. Understand?" he added in a lower tone, his voice drizzled with raked edges. His glazes his cool fingers down my spinal cord, and before I could react, he slid his fingers down onto the large bough dangling behind me, tugging on one of the bough's loops, tightening the back slightly as he exhaled the last huff of smoke onto my visible and clearly exposed back. I inhale loudly from the warmth of the smoke, gearing my back. "Understood. Ate the offering. Were he Ralpha?" the driver said briefly with a short nod, lowering his timid blue eyes as well. Even though he knew the circumstance of this marriage, he yet gave a small smile when my eyes landed on him. Encouragement or sympathy, I just couldn't tell the difference. I was too busy reflecting back on the memories of my life with my brothers and their mates. Just another few short steps toward my death. I realized. After that, he'll hardly ever see the spark in Ryan's eyes after annoying the hell out of me. Angel's disapproving frown toward him for being no less than a child. Xavier's usual lectures. Christine's carefree attitude. Zane's angry growls. And my innocent little smile. I would hate to admit, but I would also miss Leah's daily craziness. She was here with me since kindergarten, the first and only friend, to stay with me during my hardest and funniest time ever. I know it sounds cliché, but it's true. Even before the marriage was planned out, one thing was certain: my departure from the Silver Rose pack. Along with my hopes bagged heavily behind me. Flashback after Mr. James Bond threatened me before disappearing into thin air. I slowly made my way back to the house thinking about he said. "Sue, how'd it go?" June asked shyly. "Oh, you're back from your little vacation," I'd exclaim, with fake shock. "Where else would I be, bitch? While your interesting, yet strange encounter with Mr. Death Wish back here." I decided to step back and let the boss handle it. June sneered in her defense. "You know, I wonder why we even have Wolf if they're such a pain in the ass," I asked myself notoriously, as my foot stepped onto the porch of the house. I hear the sliding back door slam against its hinges with my brothers dressed in extremely expensive black suits coming racing out. Ryan was the first to rush out with Xavier hot on his trail. He stomped out onto the porch, and under the porch lights I could see his tin and little eyes widen after seeing my current condition, making his body stiffen with anger. His kind brown eyes were tainted with black, while his fists were strained white. His black suit made him look about 3 years older and more mature than usual. Usually Ryan was one of the calmest of the three, but right now on that moment, he looked furious that then the time I accidentally tripped and scattered Xavier's paper. Xavier screamed at me for at least 1 hour and 30 minutes before coming back to his senses and rushing to apologize. The second Xavier steps out from behind him. His body also goes red with anger at the sight of me, in my now mud-stained wedding dress. I feel my tears weakening me from within. From the sight of their tense faces, their emotions twisted and hard to read. I sniffled back a few tears, and after Xavier noticed the single tear rolling down my cheek, he scurried from behind Ryan to me, bracing me in his warm embrace. I clutched onto his tux's fabric, letting my tears shed against his body. His expensive cologne hits my nostril, rewinding my memories of those summer days when we would go shopping together and watch late-night movies. I want to apologize, but no words comes out. It was as if someone had stuffed my throat up with something because it was near to impossible to form a single word. I cry as he nestled his chin against my neck, his stubble rubbing against it making it uncomfortable, but I don't complain as his arms were protectively wrapped around my waist, refusing to let go. He doesn't say anything as I wet his coat with my tears, so I don't resist it. I just give in. I hear some shuffled footsteps and some soft exchanges of words whirl around us, but I keep holding on to my brother's suit, with me the one refusing to let go. A hand starts to stroke my tangled mess of hair, patting it down from behind me with some soft words muttered, saying it's going to be all right. I reconfirm the voice as they nest his voice seeming low, like he was trying not to cry. Instead of leaving, I clutch Xavier's coat more, feeling my knees given from under me. I escalade down with Xavier still grasping onto my full body frame, falling with me until we were crumpled on the floor, with my head hanging against right shoulder. I squeeze my eyes shut as he holds on tighter, and then suddenly I feel Ryan's wolf presence begging for my attention. I move my head away from his shoulder, to steal a glance at Xavier's eyes when they soften with sadness. His gentle, warm hand comes from behind my waist and brushes some strands of hair away from my face. In that moment he was an alpha and I was the sister of one. I was his younger sister. I glanced to see Ryan, his face tightened and his eyes drained of their cheerfulness, with his hand gently tapping my back. His eyes dropped after a moment, and then I turned to my left, to see Zane kneel down with his hand stroking my hair. These were my brothers, my beloved, strong, protective brothers, the alphas. I cowed and helped but feel useless, because it was me, the one that had made them weak. I was the one to blame because I made my alpha brothers bow down to another alpha, my heartless mate, not daring to make me shed a tear more. Come on, Nora. Time to get you fixed. My eyes adjust to the dim light to see Angel, Mia and Christina hovering above us, with pale faces. I nod while wiping my tears with the backside of my hand, as Xavier used my other hand to pull me back up. I stagger back a few steps, as I feel the world spin before my eyes. My hand naturally goes to my head as several other hands enclose around me from behind, helping me steady my balance. "I'm fine," I say in a petite voice which I knew they heard. Xavier starts to help me into our house with both of his hands gently around my waist while mine were dangling by my sides. I tiredly drag my legs across the floor as we pass through the kitchen. The lights were too bright, straining my eyes from seeing, so I was thankful for Xavier's guidance, and as we were about to climb up the stairs, I feel Xavier drop his hands. Before I could say anything, he bends down and carried me in arms up the stairs, hard against his body. My hands instinctively curves around his neck, and as I snuggle my face against the collar of his suit, my eyes start to get heavy. As we stroll down the hallway, I notice that the half the lights were on, but they were dim like someone had meant to do it. He then whispered some words by my ear, which I just couldn't make out. I just wanted to block them out. He walked a couple of steps more, before putting me down in front of my bedroom door. Christina walks up from behind, opens the door and ushers me in quickly. After a few exchanges of words, Christina smacks the door shut with her face grown more than usual, pale as if she would throw up any moment. A faint smile curves up when she acknowledges me with a dim look. "Now go and change, Nora," she said in a dry tone, waving me off towards the dressers and walking towards the corner where my shoes laid lifelessly on the floor. In what? I just literally torn apart the dress that Alpha Dame unwanted me in. I say dreadfully, thinking what of the consequences he would give for disobeying his orders. In the light now, I could see the dress for what it truly was: stained, torn, damaged as much as myself. I thought, that's why S3 got another dress made exactly like the one he wanted for situations like this, and since we knew you have a habit of running everything your way. Angel said hopefully, placing a hand on my shoulder to direct me towards the bathroom. Mia walked on from the door with an exact replica of the dress that I was wearing, but this one was without any stains or any torn-up laces or wrinkled corners. The door shuts behind her without a trace of my brothers in the hall. She hands me the dress, along with another encouraging smile to show her love. I reluctantly smile back while grasping onto the dress and walking over to the washroom. I slip out of the dress and change into its matching twin, watching myself in the mirror. As I do so, there was dried blood in the corner of my neck from where the attacker had attempted to mark me. I couldn't find the guts to wipe it away, so I leave it there as a sad reminder of my poor choices. I walk out with the girls clustered by my dresser. Mia was the first to notice me when I walked out, and she gave me a hand in walking to my dresser. Christina worked on my hair with Mia on my makeup. Angel came from behind with a new radiant veil that shimmered in the light. Together they worked gracefully, dolling me up for my death. That's what I noticed their outfits. They were all different mint dresses. Angel was in a long strapless dress with sparkles decorating her chest and her hair thrown to one side, showing off my brother's mark. Mia was in a short knee, high dress with artificial flowers as decorations for her hair and white heels too. Christina, who was surprisingly, for once, wearing a simple mint loose summer high, low dress with pearly white flats. It was unusual for Christina to be so casual during an event, but the flash of her pale white face told me something was up. How I start, but Angel cuts me off. "We knew you were up to something the second you agreed to come dress shopping with us, so had another set made just in case," she explained dryly, without looking at me. "It's not we didn't trust you. It's just that we were scared for you," Mia stated, wiping the dried blood away with a damp cloth. Luckily, there wasn't any remainder of the incident besides the first torn-up dress. I think about what they say. "I'm sorry I let you all down. Nora, we understand. It's scary, but you have us. We'll always be with you, no matter what," Christina says before pinning the last pin in for my veil. I take a hard glance at my mirror to see my facade glowing back at me. A superficial smile for a superficial person. I think my face glowing but yet pale. My eyes wide but hollow. My lips small but dead. My hair straightened but yet dented. After being satisfied that they had done the most that they could, they take a few steps back, giving me room to stand up. Angel bends down with my crystal Cinderella-like shoes in her hands and I have my feet to slid in, balancing myself on Maya's shoulder, and then she strapped them on. Christina stood a few steps back away from us with a grimace face plastered on. After steadying myself, Christina helps me walk toward the door through the dim hallway with Angel and Mia ahead of us. Silently, before we reach the top of the stairway, she turns me with her hands on my shoulders so I'm face to face with her. Even in the low light, I could see that her face was calm but showed evidence of her illness, her lips slightly chapped, her eyes hollow but yet filled with glee. "Nora," she started hesitantly, like she was waiting for a sign, but still continued on after catching her breath. "Nora, Xavier's going to be a dad." I freeze in the moment, as the words escape her lips. Did I hear her right? "So you're impregnant, Nora," she added shyly. a large blush covering her hollow face. A smile cracked up on her face, lightening me as well. Oh, I'm so happy for you, Christina. Oh my God. Listen up. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. You hear me. Xavier will be a great dad. I promise. I laugh. Before my face hardens. Does Xavier know? I think he's suspicious about something. Seeing me sick usually every morning for a week, but no. I haven't told him. When will you? I raise an eyebrow at her, making her face grow small. She brushes a curl behind her ear. Soon, was all she said. All right then, and by the way, Christina, I'm so sorry for everything. Christina tries to interrupt, but I stop her. No, please let me. If I was never born, nor if my mate would have been anyone else, then this day wouldn't have come, and then you've told Xavier by now. I explain. He would have been happy instead of being sad now. I'm just so blessed that I have you as his mate. Dora, firstly, don't you ever say that you wish you weren't born. They would all been miserable without you, and secondly, you know your brothers love you, right? They love you so much that they don't care if they lose their title or packs for you right now. If you say no to this marriage, we'll back you up. They didn't say their support, but I guarantee that they will prove it to you when possible. All you have to say is no and see what your brothers do, she said in a serious tone. I know they'll support me the second I ask, but do they know the risk behind it? I know they'll willingly and happily sacrifice their titles of being an alpha just to protect me, but do they know they might have to sacrifice their mate's protection as well? Will I offer my brothers and their mates as sacrifice, or will I give my own? Flashback over. The door to the SUV flies opens, letting a cool breeze in. Zane, who now had gotten his hair trimmed because his once blonde tipped hair had now been replaced with small messy dark chocolate brown hair, was clearly just as frustrated as the others. His eyes were hollow and his hands were cold as he helped me down. I take a step out before turning around to see him. Slam the door shut. Xavier steps out from the other side of SUV, stalks toward me and helps me cover myself with the shimmering veil. From behind, it floats down gracefully, covering my face in its shimmering halo up to my waist, and as I look up to see my Xavier, I see Ryan come around from the passenger seat with the handful of freshly plucked white ivory ass. He holds them out to me, and as my hand shakes before taking reluctantly, I feel my brothers enfold me in their arms, lightly. Ryan by my right and Zane on left with Xavier from behind. I feel my vision blur with those darn tears again, but I say no. If Angel, Mia, and Christina could have got me ready without shedding a single tear, I could have too. They release me, and as tears fall down my cheek, I wipe them away furiously. Ryan and Zane leave us after saying their goodbyes, and as Xavier helps me in going up the stairs slowly before pausing to link arms, ready to take me down the aisle, I drain whatever emotions I had left in my face. I raise my chin with pride as the lights from the church light my path. If Alpha Damon of the Red Blood Pack was known to be heartless alpha, then to can play at this game, and not going to waste my tears crying for the so-called heartless alpha, I reminded myself, because now I was going him waste his time crying for me, and that was an offer I am willingly to agree on. 9. His victory. Alpha Damon's POV. With staking our mate. Dylan snaps for the third time in under 10 minutes. I could feel my patience slowly slipping away as if it was loose sand, tight within my grip. What in the hell is taking her so long? Do you think I fucking know? I lash out impatiently. What do you want me to do? Skip over to her house like a mother, fucking fairy, and help her ready for the wedding? I don't care whatever the hell you do. I just want my mate now. He threatened, like I want her to go die. I say sarcastically, making Dylan snarl back angrily. Don't you don't you dare. You motherfucker. I'm the alpha. Not you. I can say whatever the fuck I want and you fucking can't stop me. I say, using my alpha tone, but that doesn't tend here. He continues to ramble on while I pretended to listen before blocking him out. It had been 12 fucking minutes since I arrived here at the altar with my pack. 12 fucking mins with me waiting like an idiot all dressed up, at the altar with an old ass of a priest cowering and whimpering in fear at the sight of me. Oh, she's going to pay big time for this. I roll my eyes away disgustedly to see my glorious pack covering the entire left side of the church. My chest swells with pride, seeing the success of my pack even though only about 1/30 each of the pack was present in this church. My pack had filled the left side while the Silver Rose pack covered the right. Everyone from the Silver Rose pack was mute, as if they were here to attend a funeral instead of a wedding, not daring to whisper a word to each other even. I could see the Alpha's darling mates in the front row wearing mint dresses, their faces twisted with emotions. Seconds later, Alpha Ryan and Alpha Zane appear and take the vacant seats by their mates, after planting some silent kisses on their lips. No one says a word. They sit down with one seat still empty, next to the Luna at the end of pew, that wore those apple bottles jeans the other day. Today her face was silent and covered in paleness. Now all but one seat was full. Even though this was the biggest church around, I could only call my best warriors, my several deltas. For some alphas, we had alliances within some close friends. Even with all this, everyone was practically squeezed together. My beta stood directly behind me, dressed in a similar tux as me, flirting with my one of Pack's main hoes who sat in the front rows and was wearing a deep scarlet, nearly clear, sparkling radiated, short dress with her unmistakably plastic boobs nearly slipping out. I caught my beta smiling and winking every now and then at her, and as response she secretly traced the outline of her body starting from the rim of her neck to the down her leg, with one of her slender fingers, trying to act casual doing so. I look away as she bends over, pretending to adjust her heel, winking at my beta flirtatiously as she did. I turned to see my gamma standing behind my beta, who was intensely talking over his headpiece, not caring of the whores who were trying to catch his attention from behind him. One of them was trying to seduce me as well with her phony sympathy talk, not caring that I was about to marry the Pax Luna. My mate, Dil-On, returns with full force, growling back at her angrily through the pack mind, Link, hushing her once and for all. If I hadn't have found my mate, I was undoubtedly hooked, but no matter what, since Dil-On met that bitch of a mate, he wanted no one but her. You better not block me again, you asshole. Dil-On grunted. Or else, in making sure I mark her, not you. Oh really? Cha-cha you gonna do? Ride her like a fucking dog, and then you're gonna mark her like the stupid animal you are. I laugh, clearly pissing him off more. Fuck off. I ain't no one gonna miss your ass when you're gone. Dil-On hissed. Besides, are you going to stand here like an ass you are? Or are you going to inquire and find out where in the fuck is our mate? As in if she's still alive and breathing. Dylan's words bring me back to the present. I growl at his words, agreeing sadly he was right, leading to mind Link Caden. Caden, where in the hell is my mate? I command greedily. Oh my god. Chill, brother. You're even more moody than a pregnant woman. And for the contrary, no. I don't fucking know where your mate is. It's not like I have a find my head, Moon app hardwired in my head. He replies, giving me the urge of snapping his head off. I know you want to snap my head off. He adds ever so carelessly, as if whatever I said didn't have an effect on him, leaving me dumbfounded before he explained furthermore. Dylan told me, I feel my inner self control snap. Dil-On, you ass, you cunt, you mother. Before I finish my line, the doors to the church fly open, giving a clear view of the starry night that tainted the pitch-black sky, along with my bride, glowing in her luminous dress and shimmering halo of a veil. From a distance, it looked as she has been kissed by those every stars twinkling throughout sky as she gracefully slid across down the pews, shining in her facade of an angel from heaven. Every onus head turned to catch a view of her, and as their eyes meet her, their mouths were left hanging. The bystanders tossed the rose petals over her as she walked past them. People stared at her, but she blocked them out as our eyes locked. I could see a spark of fury arising within those once tender eyes. Her gentle gaze turned sharp the second they landed in my direction, and as she made her way over with her brother on her side, I saw the intensity of her eyes grow. Her eyes were neither glassy with tears nor trembling with fear. Her face held no emotion whatsoever. I heard some low chatter ripple across the church. Not only from my pack but from hers as well. Some were squealing with delight as others showered their never-ending flow of compliments. Some were even sympathetic as those delighted words from my mate filled my ears. I also heard the high-pitched whines and scowls from the pack hose, coming from the other end. I had to say, my mate did enter as a high competition, already earning some future friends. Under seconds, the stench of jealousy became overwhelming. Her chin's just as high as our ego, Dylan informed with a light laugh, compelling to agree along. I thrust my hands into the pockets of my pants, my head just as high as hers. Oh, aren't we going to have fun tonight, Dylan? I say joyfully with my wolf laughing in the back. Xavier SPOV as Nora held onto my arm. I knew something was wrong. Something was disturbing her, but her face telling me a different story. It was no doubt I was pissed after seeing her on her torn-up wedding dress, but when I saw the specks of dried-up blood against her neck, it began to gnaw my insides, nearly making me shift. When I had caught a glimpse of her in that condition, my wolf and I just was to rip apart the person who did that met her before asking her why she left. I knew she was miserable, but how could she understand my situation? I've been worried enough these past few days. With my alpha duties, the wedding, Christina. I noticed she started growing paler as the days progressed, especially during eating. She would pick at her food more than she ate it, and she would get dizzy more often. There were moments where she nearly fell down the stairs due to the dizziness, but luckily someone or the other was there to help. What shocked me the most was that she even gave up her heels for flats. As much as I knew Christina, she would never gave up her heels for anything, even if I ever asked. She also stopped attending her usual evening training sessions with her friends. As desperately I wanted to ask Christina what's she going on, Angel and me stopped me surprisingly, saying I need to trust her and give her space. Since then I've overlooked it every time. But as I did, it was internally killing me. My wolf was even growing agitated every time I saw Christina, but there was no way. I explained to him. Nora held on tighter as I helped her up the stairs to the church. She didn't say a word, so neither did I. As we reached the top of the stairs, her face molded itself into stone, tightly grasping onto her flowers and my arm. I nodded, signaling the guards to open the large doors. Light slowly flushes in, enlightening us in its rays. We slowly strode forwards, taking short and light steps. Everyone turns to see us. As we make ourselves in their view, their mouth hanging. We make our way over slowly, with that useless of an alpha smirking at this called victory, his hands lightly stuffed in his pockets, his lips curled into a smile, his hair ruffled, and his eyes twinkling with amusement. As the altar came into a few steps' distance, Nora slowly but softly released her grip on my arm, with that hinting towards that idea that she was in a hurry. I remained paralyzed and shocked as she left Tesco completely before I do, and as she took a step closer in the direction of the altar. That bastard of an alpha, pretending to be a gentleman, extends his hand forwards. From my horror-filled eyes it looked as if she was eager to get married to that worthless alpha of a mate. She looks up, and as they lock eyes, she locks her hand onto his. He helped her up to the levitated platform as they gaze into each other's eyes as it was their private world. And just when I was desperately trying to link Nora to ask about what was going on in her mind, a hand falls onto my shoulder. I look up back behind to see Ryan, signaling with his head to hurry up. He and me walk up silently and take our places between the alpha's useless Baton and his gamma. Zane was already here with his hands crossed down low, hanging his head. I stood in front, with Ryan behind, and as the words escaped from the priest's mouth, I couldn't believe what I just witnessed. Nora had her eyes glazing up at the daemon, her hand loosely wrapped around her bouquet of flowers, and just when I thought she was about to cry, a frightening small smile tugged the corners of her pinky lips along with a light blush. The second that the door opened, and as soon as Nora and her brother Xavier stepped into the spotlight, the room became dropped silent for their arrival. As heads turned around to catch a glimpse of them, a low whisper raced throughout the crowd. Deep blood-red rose petals sprinkle over Xavier's and Nora's heads as they passed them by the entrance, as Nora gracefully floated down the pews with her head held up and as her eyes sharp on the alpha. She noticed the beauty of the church which left her in all the arrangement of the patterns of black and white tiles stretched along the path down the pews were gorgeous, along with the dome-like ceiling curved with words of the Holy Bible. But pale yellow-ish lamps on the sides of those very curved domes, the elegant marble pillars by each side supporting the dome, the slightly higher platform at the altar with stained glass murals of Jesus himself on both sides. Bunches of white flowers that had a light fragrance were tied along the well-polished wooden pews with thousands of burning candles along the wall around the perimeter, against the half-creamy, white and ash-brown painted walls. Even with the purity of the church, she could still recognize the scent of evil lurking throughout the hearts as Nora glanced at the red blood pack. As her pace quickened, she tried not to rush her to alarm her brother, but she couldn't help it. Nora saw the shine of the alpha's smile lighting his face, twisting her guts into a tie knot. Nora heard the voices encircling around her as she went past the pews, row by row, some of astonishment and of sympathy, but she blocked them out as she walked past. Her target was dead ahead, with her eyes were sharply narrowing in. When she was about 3 steps away from the platform itself, she dropped her arm from her brother steadily, trying not to alert him that something was up. But she knew he had already noticed that. The moment her hand slipped off her brother's, Damon extended his out for her. Nora glanced up curiously, trying to study Damon's facial expression, but his face was clearly readable. It showed amusement for her silent performance. Walking down aisle, his smirk burned and became too large for his face. "Nora, what's going on?" her brother Xavier started, but stopped a second later. She ignores him as she extended her hand and dropped it onto Damon's, keeping her face still. The second her hand landed on his, the sparks were lit. June starts to howl from within after feeling her mate's touch. Damon helped her up the steps with a smile still plastered on, and before Nora knew it, the priest began to speak. His grip was tightly clutched onto Nora but he released it as soon as she was up. Nora caught a few words that left the priest's mouth, but soon they began to blur. The entire church began to blur as June started to drool from the sight of her mate in a wedding suit as Nora coughed at her stupidity. "Dylan, can you shut your bloody panting?" Damon snapped with hands clutched by his sides. "What happened, Alpha? Can't keep your hands to yourself. Quit quoting Selena Gomez with me." Damon grunted. It was true that his hands were itching to get the feeling of his mate's skin under his for a second time, itching for the sensation of another adrenaline rush, pumping vigorously in his veins whenever she glazed her flower-like skin along his, but was willing to accept that loud. Males needed to be dominated one, he reminded himself, and their mate shouldn't make them feel vulnerable. Against his wishes, Damon's eyes had once again betrayed him. His eyes flashed with warmth, leading to shocking results. A faint ghost of a smile appeared on his mate's face, her baby pink tainted lips gently forming a smile, causing a smile to crack up on his lips as well. Seconds passed before he realizes what she's doing. "She trying to weaken us," Damon informs Dylan harshly. "Really? Well, I don't care what you think. She's our mate, and I get that. But she's a female and we're males. Males are supposed to be the dominant ones and females the ones under. We can't let her have control over us." Damon lectured him, roughly, but she's our mate, doofus. She allowed to express her love. He argued in her defense. "Are you softening on me now? Or are you turning into a pup just because we found our lost mate and cause she's given you a little bit of affection?" Damon exclaimed, making Dylan growl back. Calling anyone a pup was the biggest offense ever. It was like saying fuck you to your boss. "I didn't mean that," he started impatiently. "Oh, of course. Sorry for that. Even though that's what I've been trying to explain to you, dumbass. We can't let her control us, not only because she's a female, but also because we're the alpha. We have to be the ones setting the rules, not her." Dil-Un remains silent as Damon takes back control, darkening his eyes into a near black color, just in time to catch the words. Do you, Alpha Damon Romano of the Red Blood Pack, accept Ms. Nora Faith of the Silver Rose Pack as your mate, and Luna of the Pack, as long as you continue your duty as an alpha? The priest asked, in an uneven tone, terrified for Damon's answer. I do. Damon shot angrily, making Nora look up in wonder. Her eyes were numb and hard to read from under her veil, but it was clear she was happy with the answer. Do you, Ms. Nora Faith of the Silver Rose Pack, accept Alpha Damon Romano of the Red Blood Pack as your maiden alpha, as long as he continues his rule as alpha? Nora bit the insides of her mouth, letting the bitter taste of blood fill her mouth. She inhales through her nose before saying, and breathing in the rough, stuffy air, do I have a choice? Her voice comes out firm, so it rings out pretty vividly through the church. Everyone holds their breath, including the priest himself, as the temperature in the church suddenly drops down by 20 degrees. It felt as if all the warmth from the hundreds of candles had magically disappeared as her eyes innocently wandered into Damon's stone-hard eyes, which clearly weren't looking amused anymore. She glanced at Xavier, whose washed-out brown eyes were gleaming black now, with his hands tightly squeezed by his sides, his claws threatening to come. Ba-Em looked pretty much the same as Xavier, his eyes dark and his round childish face looking more mature than ever, biting his lip from resisting the growl that was threatening to erupt. Same, who was avoiding her eyes, was also now looking up, but not at her but at Damon instead. Everyone looked at her with shocked faces, but nobody spoke a word, nor did anyone breathe. Before she knew it, something, or more likely someone, grabs onto her veil, yanking it away from her face from behind, with sparks erupting throughout her scalp. She recognized the sparks as Damon's hands as he tilted her head back with one hand, before she could even pull back. The flowers dropped dead to the ground, but before they could even touch the ground, Damon had already planted his hot fury lips onto Nora's, choking back the scream in her own throat. He releases his grasp from her hair before restraining both of her wrists down against her back, trampling over the forgotten bouquet. His kiss had just lit the chain of fireworks throughout Nora's entire body. Her body felt like it was fire from the intensity of his lips, melting her cold heart along. Before she knew it, she found herself giving up against his restraints, and then suddenly, she found herself enjoying it and kissing back, wanting more and more as the moments passed. It became more of an obsession than a necessary. In her eyes, the obsession for his smooth, crisp lips, his fiery, destructive touch, his beautiful muscular frame, his sharp hawk-like eyes, his everything, against hers and hers alone. The last thing that Nora could make out before blocking them all out was one simple sentence. I present to you the Luna of the Red Blood Pack, Lunan or Damon Romano. A crowd of loud cheers erupted, breaking the blissfully silent atmosphere of church, filling it with howls of joy. Scratch that. Not of joy, but of triumph. Triumph of becoming the largest pack in North America, or of the world. Nora didn't know which one, but one thing she knew for sure. He might be not just conquered her pack intentionally, but her soul as well.